The Olmecs, a civilization known respectively for their head statues in Mexico, and is the most prehistoric known civilization to have influenced Mesoamerica. The Maya, a civilization famous for creating a calendar and written language. Because of their associations via geographical contiguity, these two civilizations have shaped Mesoamerica. Despite the overwhelming calamities that these societies have suffered, their methods of communication and communicational achievements are key to understanding these civilizations. With our understanding, their culture lives on. Mesoamerica is a region in Mexico and the Central Americas, including El Salvador, Guatemala, and down to Panama. To grasp the depth of primary influences of communication in Mesoamerica, one must look back into the history of the region. At the distinct beginning are the Olmecs. They are the most ancient Mesoamerican civilization documented and thrived along the Olmec heartland, a region that is situated south of the Gulf of Mexico. The Olmecs designed long-distance trade routes to obtain the things they needed, had a well-developed religion, advanced arts that depicted their deities, gods, and rulers, and perfected myths and mythologies in the form of the were-jaguars and their suspected children. Additionally, the culture had a written form of communication. Since their civilization has been so far back, there is little archaeological evidence to provide in-depth information about the extent of their settlements, and so their system of communication is used to understand their customs. The Olmecs recorded practices and events throughout the period through visual arts and written material, all of which are evident in the Cascajal block. The famous Cascajal block, found in Veracruz, Mexico, is an ancient slab of writing considered to be the oldest known writing system in the Western Hemisphere. The block has about 62 characters thereon. Through historical speculation, researchers assume they realistically depict fundamental elements of greatness in the Olmec's culture. The Cascajal block is pivotal information in the complete understanding of the Olmec. The Olmec's writing system records various pieces of information about the cultural lives of their people. With new information like this, it allows the onlooker to receive first-hand knowledge of the Olmec culture, and thus, people can piece together the surviving information to understand the civilization and its influences on the succeeding cultures in Mesoamerica. The Maya, a civilization occupying regions in southern Mexico, Guatemala, and northern Belize. They lived from early 2000 BCE to 1500 CE. Their orthography was influenced by the Olmec. The Mayans' writing system, known as Maya glyphs, are hieroglyphic symbols. While there is no Mayan alphabet, the medium for the writing system was the glyphic cartouche. The glyphic cartouche is considerably like modern-day language. There are more than 800 symbols in the system. Each one is recited simultaneously from left to right, top to bottom. Many glyphs depict syllables rather than words and can be placed in a row to develop an idea. This includes numbers, names of gods, and buildings. Much like the Cascajal block, these inscriptions remained carved into stone on Mayan structures and monuments. The hieroglyphs were not typically used to record historical information. It was utilized for propaganda purposes. The ruling members thought that if kings learned the writing system, they would negotiate between common folk and God. Kings could strengthen their martial prowess and add to their image by indicting on architecture. Additionally, for the Maya, the writing was a sacred gift from the gods. Trained scribes would record religious events, chronologies, and rituals into codices. The 4 known pre-Hispanic manuscripts discovered to date deal only with religious and astronomical matters. Regrettably, during the Spanish conquest, most of the manuscripts were burnt and destroyed. Diego de Landa is the man responsible for the act of burning nearly all of the Mayan codices. De Landa was a Franciscan monk who was sent to the Yucatan as one of the first clergymen to enter the newly conquered territory. Expeditiously, moving through the Franciscan hierarchy, he learned the Yucatan language and became a Franciscan provincial of Yucatan in 1561. The accounts of De Landa primarily describe his overzealousness regarding religion. His religious devoutness manifested when rumors spread of Mayans secretly engaging in idolatry and worshipping old Mayan gods. He subsequently called for an inquisition, torturing people allegedly worshipping idols via hoisting them as a form of investigation. In De Landa's zeal, he called for an auto de fe, the massive and utter destruction of their manuscripts and sacred codices in the town of Mani. Decades before, the indigenous people of the New World had been exempted from the Spanish Inquisition because, as it was reasoned, the Indians' knowledge and understanding of Christianity was too childish, and thus they were not to be held responsible for their heresies and blasphemy. Ergo, when Diego de Landa was condemned in Spain because of his actions, his reasoning was because there was a movement throughout the Yucatan which sought to take away the religious authority from the Christians. Diego de Landa and other missionaries were trying to achieve widespread proselytism and assumed that dismantling many Mayan cultural objects and punishing followers would make the older culture undesirable and consequently the people would convert. Initially, this was true. Most people had lost interest in traditional practices and retained the information introduced by arriving missionaries. Maya dictionaries and prayer books began to reappear after the Spanish arrival in the 16th century under the supervision of the conquering group. The surviving codices bring much detail and information about the life of the Maya before, during, and after the Spanish conquest. Understanding the contents written in the codices gives a sounder understanding of the Maya and their culture through communication. Without the codices found today, there would be an irreparable lack of knowledge as well as comprehension of the Mayan society. This leads to inaccurate historical depictions of the culture, invalidation of following descendants, and ultimately, a repeated death of the culture, a culture no one could revive. Despite several attempts made to acculturate the Mayans, Mesoamericans continued to communicate their history and religion through dancing. In Mesoamerica, dancing is the center of rituals and traditions, and the key to understanding the stories and events told during the dances. During pre-Hispanic Mayan dances, they retold political conflicts, showed nobles in their most elaborate regalia, and explained the origin of the land. The Danza del Venado, also known as the deer dance, is still displayed in modified form in today's Mayan cultures. Judy Lum is an author who possessed direct experience of the San Antonio deer dance, part of a 9-day Mayan celebration in the Mopan Mayan village. She recalls, the festival began with an overnight vigil in which there was no dancing. The masks and costumes were blessed with the smoke and given offerings. 12 dancers, in 2 lines of 6, faced the marimba, each dancer paired up with a partner in the other line. The dance begins as a European observes an animal in the forest and inquires what it is, and a Mayan man tells him it is a deer, but they do not possess the tools required to hunt them. The story continues as the villager prays to Sultaka, the god of the hill, and goes up to the mountain where another European has settled and asks him to track a deer. The Europeans then produce a gun used to shoot a rabid deer at an opening near the river. The rest of the animals in the forest, other deer, the monkey, the tiger, and the lion, carry the hunter out of the forest so that he does not continue hunting. The story ends with the Europeans dancing together in celebration. While there are many variations of the theme, the general concept is humans' respect for the natural world. The sacred deer and hunter come from more metaphorical standpoints, and this dance communicates the theme of celebrating heritage. Lum writes that the Deer Dance Festival says much about the current Mayan culture and its legacy. This dance is the key for their descendants to understand who they are today. The teaching of the dances and traditions allows the Mayan culture to see past Spanish acculturation. To the modern-day descendants of the Maya, dances like the deer dance allow rising generations to discover who they are in their community. They recognize who their ancestors were and how to celebrate their achievements. The Mesoamerican writing systems and ceremonial dances are prime examples of how communication passes the key of understanding from one generation to the next. It allows the following descendant to obtain a sense of merit from their culture. By acquiring this information, individuals have gained the right to step forward in their journey of understanding who they are. Through communication, the Mesoamerican culture informs many people around the world about themselves, their ancestors, and their future possibilities. It is crucial to appreciate the significance of Mesoamerican culture. Most details known about Mesoamerica are information conjured from cultural assimilation caused by foreign conquest. The fact that people today can understand cultural knowledge of the Olmec and Maya from their dances and languages speaks volumes on their strengths in communication, and that communication is key to their descendants' understanding of who they are today.